Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. If you're just joining us today, we are talking about millennials in the workplace, and we have a couple more things on your agenda today.
Yeah, so let's talk about boss relationships. What it says is when it comes to boss relationships, it says that you should win their affection. And the reason why it says because loyalty to the boss is the number one reason they stay in the job in the first place, especially during the first 3 years. And dissatisfaction with the boss is the number one reason why they quit.
Is that a millennial thing, or you think that's an everybody thing?
It could. I think it could spread out into an everybody thing, but I think they're narrowing down characteristics. That's what the article does. It's characterizing based on, things that keep coming up, like trends that keep showing up. So they're basically saying that this is really like a thing for millennials. Right. Like if their boss can win their affection, and I say it even when I'm coaching businesses, and I'm working with CEOs, I tell them that you have to connect with your employees. You gotta be heartfelt. You have to authentically engage with them, ask them how their weekend is, know about their kids, their family. That kind of stuff wins people over in general, I believe, but especially millennials. I think they're looking for, when they, like you said, your weekend, your priority is about your family. So if you come to work and your boss is connecting with you, to a certain degree where they're, showing some kind of affection and interacting with you on a personal level, it gives you the goodies, right? You feel like they care and you're important and you're valuable. I think that's really what you guys are yearning for, is it not?
Yeah, I can kind of relate. I guess now that I'm out of high school, I have some teachers who often ask me to come back and talk to their students. And if they're not really a teacher I felt like I had a personal relationship with, or I feel any type of sense, like you said, of loyalty to, I am busy that day. but I have some teachers that really made an impact in my life, and if they need anything, I will drop everything to go be there for in their class. And I think it's kind of the same thing, like you said, as kids who have other priorities over their work. If we have that relationship with our boss, all of a sudden they're a little bit higher on the priority list.
What's funny is as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about KHTS, and it's like, I think it's probably one of the reasons why you keep coming back, because you love Carl and Jerry.
Right.
And it's like, when you work with people that are just, lighthearted, loving, caring, compassionate people, you'll turn your schedule inside and out to help them or to be a contribution, because it's a place that you feel like you're at home. You feel like you're loved. You feel like people care about you. And that's, I think, what millennials are looking for. They're looking for a place to connect. And it's saying here that when you quit, it's usually there's a dissatisfaction with the boss. And that's usually the number one reason why millennials say I'm out of here, is because they don't have that connection, that either you're just really cold, or all you care about is money, or all you care about is everything other than what's going on with me today.
Right. And like you said, having that relationship, I feel so loyal to Carl and Jerry that sometimes when they ask me to do something that I don't want to do, like work on a weekend, I feel almost obligated to do it because I love them so much and I want to help and I want to make this company as best as it can be. And sometimes I have to convince myself, and this might not be that healthy, but sometimes I have to say, you know what, if they send anybody else, they won't do it as good as I will. So,
and what's cool about them is that they're so conscious and aware and compassionate that they will double check with you, like, are you sure? Or they'll try to find someone else, but they will ask you, like, are you sure you don't have to do it, and that kind of thing. They'll give you an out, which is cool. All right, here's another thing it says, when it comes to boss relationships, it says, be careful not to cross the line from boss as advocate to boss as friend. And the reason why is, it says millennials want a light bond with their boss who is close, caring, and aware. So it's almost like they know what they want. They know they want something, that's a light connection, but they don't want to be your best friend. And I don't think that that's healthy anyways, is to have your boss be your best friend. You're not going to, go out and on the weekends and party it up, 2 a.m. with your boss. And one, I don't think that's healthy. And two, I think that it blurs some lines there as well. Yeah. Even when it comes to respect too, right?
Yeah. I mean, not that I don't respect my friends, but I definitely have a little bit more responsibility when it comes to my work relationships than my friendship relationships. So I could see how that's, I used to think, before you said that and explained why, I used to think, why not be friends with your boss?
And now, what do you think?
Well, now I think I don't want to hang out with my boss.
Well, it's like
But-
I don't want to hang out with my mom or my dad, right? To a certain point, it's like, okay,
I mean,
we'll do the family vacation thing, but now we're back home and I'm going with my friends. Like, go do your own thing, right?
Right. So, but is there a line? Like, can you go hang out and go to dinner with them and not go to a concert with them? Like, where's the line? It's kind of hard to tell.
I think it's not a matter of where's the line. I think what's really important is, are you aware that there could be a line? It's more in the awareness, and can you be looking for a line? Some people don't, and then when they cross it, it's too late, and then they're wondered why either they've tainted the relationship, or they got let go or got fired because they became too buddy, and they don't have the ability to know where that line is.
Well, I'm asking because there could be employers listening and wondering, how do I have that lighthearted, fun relationship and be close to them so that they want to be loyal and work for me, and then also not be too much of their best friend.
Look, our show is about causing awareness, and it's kind of the fundamentals of being aware and really being in the question. It's not to answer all your problems and give you all the solutions.
You can just say, I don't know.
Well, I do know, but I have to be sitting one-on-one with you rather than...
So it's situational.
Yeah,
so
it's really general. I'd have to sit down and ask you a bunch of questions to have you have that breakthrough. I can't come up with some, distinct answers, because there really isn't.
Right, that applies to all.
Yeah, you got to figure out what it is, and it's with that person to find out where the line is. And that person's the one that's deciding where the line is in the first place. But sometimes getting a coach or a mentor to help you distinguish where the line is, I think is valuable sometimes, right? Because by the time you cross it, and if you cross it and weren't aware of it, and it's too late, now you got to pay a price, then obviously, that wasn't beneficial for you. Now, when it comes to managing, it says, describe the result that you're looking for and let them figure it out. Let them figure out how to get there. In many cases, they'll develop a better process. And they're saying the reason why is because millennials grew up learning how to figure out things on their own. With the internet and a network of friends just a text message away, they'll find their own answers. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say hate, but we dislike micromanagers because we can't think. Why hire us if you're going to tell us what to do every 5 seconds?
So you want to think for yourself.
Right. And I mean, that's a reflection of ourselves. I would hate to turn in a project to my manager because that has my supervisor basically written all over it. I want to turn in something that reflects me.
Got it. Here's another one that says, when it comes to managing, to bring out the best in millennials, teach them about the company and explain how their work will lead to specific results. And then this is funny because we were just talking about this. The why is that they don't take well with taking orders and resent being handed busy work with no explanation and its purpose. So we were talking about that earlier. Like, tell me what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and why it's going to benefit. Give me all the whys, and then I'm locked and loaded. And if you don't, then I feel like you're just telling me what to do without the why.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But as you're saying it, it sounds a little obnoxious already. So I can see how...
What sounds obnoxious?
It sounds obnoxious to have somebody asking you, why do I have to do this? Or, I mean, obviously they wouldn't ask it probably in that terms. It makes more sense to say, why is this beneficial for us?
No, but I see, I can see you getting the instructions and then doing it, and you won't turn around and say why. You won't question your employer and go, why am I doing this? I think you'll just quietly have resentment. You'll just create resentment because they didn't tell you why.
Yeah, but I'm saying is because I can see how it's annoying is why I wouldn't ask.
Right, and I think it's important for the employer to know that most millennials won't ask you why, but they want to know why. Right. So why not give it to them?
Exactly. We don't know why, and we're not going to ask. So you should just tell us because we need to know.
Here's another one when it comes to managing. Hold them accountable for mistakes and praise them for successes. And the reason why is because they are impatient but always eager to learn and quick to do so.
Yeah, okay, I agree. I don't have any other comment.
All right, the next one is, if you tell them it's your way or the highway, they might walk. And the reason is millennials think of themselves as merchandise. They can sell to the highest bidder, and more than half of a college seniors move home after graduation today. So it's safe. It's a safety net and allows kids to opt out of the job that they don't like and pick and choose the jobs they do. I never realized that. Like back in the days, either when I was growing up or my parents were growing up, if they were out on their own, they might be stuck with a certain job because they don't have an out. Like, man, I'm not going to go back to mom's, so I'm going to have to figure this job out and just kind of keep working out the kinks. Nowadays, it's like millennials are like, well, I'll just go back and live with my mom, so I don't have to take this anymore, and they're out, right?
Well, I think back in the day, too, there's a lot of people who had the idea that life's hard and I have to figure it out, so I'll just push through this job. Whereas now, at least for me, I'm not going to be working somewhere where I'm not happy or where I don't feel like I'm valued, or like you said, as we think about ourselves as merchandise, I would say
like a commodity.
I think I'm very sought after assistant. So if I wasn't being treated well here at KHTS, I could find another assistant job, and I know that I'd be okay. Again, I have the safety net of my parents.
I love the audacity and the confidence I think millennials have, because they're like, well, hey, I'll just go somewhere else. And I'm sure someone else, will see that there's value in what I have. And, I wish I had that growing up when I was younger, in my early teens, or as a young man, is just knowing that there's something unique and special about me, and I'll just keep going out there and figuring out who it is that's searching for me. I think believing that somebody's looking for you is powerful, right? Or that somebody might need what you have. Not all people, I think, operate from that place, and so a lot of them probably just bunker in and they just stay with where they're at.
Right.
When it comes to work assignments, it says give them several projects. And the reason why is because they're great multitaskers with 10 times the speed and technical knowledge of their older siblings. This generation understands that there is no need to stay up all night to make an overseas phone call.
Like how you said, well, like I had said earlier, I like having 10 things to do. I like having a giant list of things to do, because I know that once I finish one, there's one waiting for me. And I think that's so much more efficient than just waiting for my boss or waiting to ask my boss, what can I do now?
And it's funny because it says, it actually goes on a little further. It says, why stay up all night to make an overseas phone call? They can simply text message the person with the information they need and continue the conversation the next day on their own time. That's pretty profound there.
Yeah, and it's not just text messaging. So this is not a new thing. Email's been around for a while, and people, I guess, might not have been utilizing it correctly, because an email is almost the same thing as a text as far as business goes. So I don't know, maybe we're the first ones to try it.
When it comes to work assignments, it says put them in the field with clients where they can work in teams and solve problems, collaborating. And the reason why, though they are independent thinkers, millennials love working in teams. What is it about being a part of a team that really gets you like fired up and empowered?
In school, a lot of projects were
by yourself?
No, they were team-based.
Okay,
they would say, okay, get in a group, everyone at your table, and come up with an idea. Whoever has the best idea gets to go to recess first. There was always, you were always working with somebody else. I mean, maybe not always, but all the fun stuff and all the projects that really shaped me, I think, were when I got to work with other people and create a project.
Maybe that's why my trainings, or not my trainings, but the transformational trainings that I facilitate with teens are so powerful, is because we do a lot of team building. We do a lot of games and experiential exercises where we're all together and we're challenging each other and we're thinking and we're like, we're learning off each other. Maybe that's the collaborative, powerful oneness, I think, that really inspires everyone.
Right. And when you're collaborating with other people, you get credit for their good idea too. And that's really what we want. We want to be valued and we want to be acknowledged and get credit where it's due. And if I give a good idea and Sally gives a good idea, and all of a sudden now we have this group project, we're both getting credit for each other's good idea and our own good idea.
You know what's amazing is that Google is actually, that's how they operate. They do think tanks and they bring in all the, the people that they're going to hire. And I think it's even in a movie where they put everyone in different teams and they have them collaborate. And I think that's really how they operate. And they realize that that's what works with the millennials. What's cool also about this concept is we actually have a local school here in Santa Clarita called SCVI Charter. And that's all that their facilitators do is they put them in little teams and they have them collaborate and they let them learn amongst each other. They're challenging each other. And when it has 5 or 6 of them as a team come up with a challenge or a breakthrough, or they put their project in, then they all get the win. So they're kind of celebrating all together. And it's, I think, pulling up the learning curve too for everybody.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think everything comes down really to problem solving. And that's what you learn in school. I mean, for me, yeah, math is important, but the most valuable thing I got out of school was critical thinking and problem solving. And that's what you're doing when you're in a group. You get other people's ideas, and sometimes it's better.
Yeah. It says in work assignments, let them work on projects with higher ups when appropriate. And the reason why is that they question the status quo and expect to make an impact on day one. So they already expect themselves to be, working with, like, it's funny because I visualize, an intern coming in going, all right, I'm ready to work with, your top managers. It's coming in. They already expect to, like here at the radio station, you got interns coming in and it's like, oh, I can't wait to get on the air. It's like day one, they just want to, it's like, give me all the goodies. I'm ready to jump on all of it rather than, realizing that some of it has a little progress.
Yeah, but I think that's cool. I would want somebody who's ready to start board hopping, getting on the air and doing all the kind of fun background stuff than somebody who's like, yeah, I can't wait to file papers today, even though that's where it starts.
I would too. But it's important as an employer to realize that they're hungry for that. So if you put them at filing papers for 6 months, don't be surprised that they're, transitioning out saying, hey, I found another internship, or hey, I got a different job. You have to be giving them every once in a while a taste of the goodies. So, after, a month and a half, hey, I know you want to be on the air. Let's sit you in there and let you have you sit next to the board op, or press a few buttons. You got to keep giving them something so you light their fire again, because that fire is slowly going to die out when they realize they're not going to get the goodie that they came to your job expecting it to be. When you take on a job, don't you have this grand vision of what you think you're going to be doing?
Yeah, when I get there the first day, I'm like, all right, how am I going to get to the top? How am I going to get my own desk? How am I going to, you have a whole idea and a whole vision. So it's exciting.
That's cool that millennials, think highly of themselves and are confident enough to say, I see myself there. That's pretty cool. Performance feedback. Provide coaching sessions to discuss career paths. And the reason why. Millennial employees feel entitled to a raise and a promotion in a week. That corner office in 6, says Dr. Carolyn Martin, that I guess co-author of some book, that makes common sense that that's where the entitlement comes from, is that they just expect to be already having their own desk with their own nameplate and that promotion within the first 30 days.
Well, it's funny because you say entitlement, but because I'm a millennial and I don't want to call myself entitled, I call it drive, and I call it being inspired, and I call it being productive and proactive, because if I don't have a dream or if I don't have expectations, then I'm really just who I am,
absolutely. And some of the courses that I do when I work with entrepreneurs or business people or CEOs, a lot of times I try to explain to them that the way that you guys see that it's a double-edged sword. You can see it one way as entitled, like how dare them, or you can choose to see it like, yeah, how dare them. I'm so glad that they are like that, because I want someone like that. I want someone hungry. I want somebody today on day one say, how do I get to your spot? How do I take over your own company? And obviously, you want to groom them to do it in a healthy way where it's a transition, or I've promoted you through the ladder and I promoted you to take my spot so I can go somewhere else. But not to operate out of the fear and look through the fear perspective and go to the, hey kid, how dare you think you can just come in here? Like, there's two sides to it. So it's all perspective shifting, I think, really.
All right. And like we just said, you used the word entitled, or she used the word entitled in the article, but right. I don't see it that way because I'm a millennial, and it'd be really cool if employers saw it that way too. All
right, performance feedback. It says shorten the feedback loop. do reviews at least quarterly. And the reason why is because millennials are used to constant feedback. They need to check in and go, hey, where am I at? And I actually like this because when you think of like football, a football game, there's a halftime. You go into halftime to look at what's working, what's not working. And when I do coaching with entrepreneurs or businesses or CEOs, a lot of times I'll sit down and I'll go, okay, great, what's working, what's not working? And that's really what you should be doing. And millennials want that from you. They need to know how they're doing. And you can't go back on the, hey, no news is good news, kid. If I don't come to you, then just know you're doing a great job. No, that's not good enough. They need to hear it. They need you to be expressive. You have to actually express yourself and let them know that they're doing good, whether it's verbally or through a handwritten note or a little gift card. You got to do some way to express, to let them know that unequivocally they are doing a great job.
Yeah, because, it's easy to assume that if your boss doesn't say anything, it's because they don't know how to tell you you're doing a bad job. Because you automatically, or at least I automatically jump to the worst case scenario, like, oh, I haven't got an update on how I'm doing because they don't want to say I'm doing bad.
When we come back from the break, we got one more. So we'll say that for the best for last.
Sounds great. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. If you're just joining us today, we are talking about millennials in the workplace, and we have one last thing to say about it.
Yeah, the last one is it's talking about reducing turnover. So if you're an employer, you want to really pay attention to how do you reduce the turnover of employees, especially the millennials. It says create career paths with the time frame short enough for them to envision. Reward small dues, successes along the way. And the reason why is because they set short-term goals and are resistant to paying their own dues.
Yeah, I think especially as with people who have workout goals, don't they always say like to focus one day at a time? Because when you think about losing 60 pounds.
Absolutely. I can contest to that. One of the things, I just started, working out probably for the first time, really rigorously in the last maybe 20 years or so. But I had to, in my own mind, I had to frame out, small little goals week by week or even daily, to the point where if you thought of anything really big, it was so overwhelming. And that's why it says here that something small enough for them to envision. And I'm the first one to say that when you are setting goals, you want to set something just right outside your comfort zone. We call that a stretch. It's something that you can stretch or you can reach for. But if you set a goal way out there really far, it's almost like you kill their vision. It's like they don't have the capacity to even see that. And then you're wondering why they're turning in their letter of resignation right away, because they can't see themselves in your vision. Your vision might be too big. So you have to shorten it for them a little bit. And then when they hit them, you got to be high-fiving them, giving that feedback and rewarding them a little bit so that you can fan that flame to become an inferno.
Yeah, it's just like you said with the internship, you can't have them filing papers for the first 6 months. You got to give them a little something every now and then to make them feel like they're going to reach their goal. Yeah,
mix it up a little bit. Since we have a few more minutes, I found a couple of other articles I thought were pretty interesting, so I want to just throw them out at you. This is apparently 5 truths about millennials. We probably won't get to all 5, but number 5 says they have short attention spans. And it says, look, by no means I'm not a doctor, but if the obsession we have with refreshing our Facebook pages and Twitter feeds is any indication, I'd say yes, that we do have short attention spans. What is it about the attention span that you think is short? Like, is it just because you grow up in a world of technology, you're like stimulated, you just need to be entertained all the time, or you need to have stimulation? Or it's like you can't just sit there at a bus stop and just look around and be a people observer and just be patient.
Okay, you know how they say first impressions are really important? For me, if I have a first impression of someone and I don't find them interesting, I've already made up that they're not interesting.
Oh, okay.
And that sounds a little mean, but I probably won't pursue a friendship with them, or I won't go out of my way to be friends with them. However, if they want to come talk to me or be friends with me, and I find maybe the second time I meet them they're a little bit more interesting, then of course I'm going to pursue a friendship with them. But I find that if I'm not automatically interested or into the conversation, I was out of it 10 minutes before you realized I was out of it.
Got it. I thought this one was funny. It says they're not interested in marriage. And it says, it's not that we're not interested in marriage, we're just not interested in marriage yet. And who could blame us? 8% of us are completely unemployed. Of the 92% of people who do have jobs, only 56% of those jobs actually require a college diploma, which we work so hard to get. Even if we did feel like getting married and moving out, our new spouse into our parents' homes, because we can't afford to live on our own yet, with an $8 an hour pay. And 1 out of every 2 marriages currently ends in divorce anyways. This is not the happily ever after I read about when I was a kid. Does that paint the picture for like how you think about marriage, or?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't see, again, like they said, the happily ever after marriage. I'm wondering, did that ever exist? Did that exist for, generation, the baby boomers? Did it exist? Or did I just grow up and things got different?
I think you grew up and things got different. The environment, the surroundings that you grew up in look differently. The world is evolving, it's changing. So your perspective is your perspective in a different era. You were collecting evidence and all the data and information, and things were making sense to you the way it makes sense to you in the world that you live in. That's just how it became what it is. But I just thought it was interesting that I never really realized that. And then the number 1 on this 5 Truths of Millennials, it says millennials depend on their parents and can't find jobs. And then it talks about the Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently reported that 44% of recent college grads are unemployed. Thus, only slightly more than half of our contemporaries actually hold jobs that require a degree. The rest of us are baristas at Starbucks and folding sweaters at J. Crew. So yes, I would say that looking at those numbers, it is in fact a fact that we can't find jobs. This cannot be attributed to laziness or lack of ambition. There simply are not any jobs worthy of someone with a college education.
Yeah, I grew up thinking that you needed a college degree to make it. And as I grew up, I saw a lot of my cousins and family members, friends, older friends, doing jobs that they didn't need that degree for. And I think a lot of, this goes for a lot of my friends too, we've all decided that we don't need to go to college, or we don't need a degree anymore. You go out in the field and you figure it out. And I think that's why a lot of people are working, at J. Crew and they have college degrees, is because you just can't, it's not about the degree anymore. And at least that's just for me. And of course a degree plays a part and you learn things in it, but unless you're there in the field figuring it out, it's not as effective, I think.
And I agree with you. I believe that, a college degree is important only for those jobs or those those careers that you have this hunger to do that makes a kind of a difference, where you need the degree, where the degree is important and it shows validity and it's respected in that field. But if you want to reinvent yourself as an entrepreneur, some of those degrees, it's not the degree itself, it's what do you learn in the process. But also I've found that there's some intelligent people with degrees that lack the confidence, the assurity, the passion, the desire, the hunger, all the God-given talents that are within us that degree is not going to do for them.
Sounds great. If you missed any of today's show or you want to hear it again, you can always find our podcast online. Thank you for joining us today on My Conscious Dad with me, Jazmine Urbina, and my dad, Alex Urbina. We're here every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.